Hi guys, this is Kendall Blair here with Beauty Revolution TV, and I'm with my special guest Asia. Today we're doing a get ready with me on these looks right here. Be sure to check out the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. So I'm going to start off with my cold cream first.
Alright, cool. I'm going to use the Nivea Men Post Shave Balm. So it works really well.
I love the way that smells.
It smells like
a girl
cologne. Yeah. You can kind of dry while I'm doing the rest of my makeup.
Yeah, well, like my skin is super dehydrated, so I'm using this as moisturizer.
I like using moisturizers before makeup too because it makes everything blend a lot easier.
I think it's actually like a cleanser or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says deep cleanser. If you look at my skin, it's like super dewy.
Yeah.
I mean, plus it's hot as fuck in here, but you know.
Alright, and I think I'm going to go for brows first.
I'm thinking eyes first.
I'm just going to start off with e.l.f. cream eyeliner in brown color. It's really good for brows.
Take some concealer and put it all over my eyelids. I think it just kind of helps your eyeshadow to be more vibrant. Try not to use quite as much as I did. So I just took like a matte shadow and put it all over the concealer I put down. Damn girl, I totally forgot to get you to pluck my eyebrows.
Oh.
Fuck. Well, it happens.
I think having a good foundation to put your makeup on definitely helps.
I'm just going to go in with a bronzer and just kind of map out my crease where I want it. Let me just talk about RuPaul's Drag Race for a minute.
Oh my god, okay, so season 8, I was living for Kimchi because
her makeup.
Yes, and I just love the whole like weirdness to her aesthetic.
I was living for her, and I was also really living for Yummy Small.
That body though. Like, can we just talk about the body?
Her weaves, like it all looks so good. Her aesthetic is like so perfectly done. Oh, girl, those eyebrows are looking snatch.
Damn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the brows with concealer. I think this is a really good way to get your brows looking very sharp. And I kind of like the sharper looks on the bottom and the top, and then kind of having the inner a little bit more blended. Because I'm really fair, but at the same time I like to add a lot of darker stuff so I get both sides of the spectrum. I'm going to use two different concealers. One is very light and the other one is like the same color as my skin tone. This one will go underneath and then this one will go over top.
I'm going to use my Too Faced Stardust palette by Vegas Nay, and I'm just going to go in with some of these matte browns right here and just kind of darken it up and smoke it out.
I also really like this Real Technique precision brush. It's really good for going under and over the brows and concealing any little areas.
I'm just going to take a gold eyeshadow with my finger and just kind of pack it on top. So then just kind of blend that, because harsh lines aren't cute unless you're contouring.
Yeah, unless that's what you're going for, then, you know, go for it. And I'm just concealing the top of my brows. Since I do my brows first, I find it a lot easier to go ahead and conceal the top like a good couple centimeters, so that way when I put on my foundation, I don't have to get as close to my eyebrow and I don't mess up the work that I've already done.
So for my brows, I'm going to use the Anastasia Brow Definer and just kind of like trace out the shape I want, and then I'm going to go in with a taupey kind of an eyeshadow and just fill that in. Brows are totally your own preference. Like as far as shape goes, you can do whatever you want. I'm just going to go for more of a straight brow, but then I'm going to do like a nice arch right on the end. So Asia, how do you feel about the whole Jeffree Star and Kat Von D situation?
People tend to have a hard time with this kind of stuff, especially since they're like celebrities and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of like attention is being drawn to it. I don't really know whose stories are true about him, you know, taking artwork and not paying the guy. That's a little shady.
And I think in his video, he was like playing the victim and like he didn't really own up to anything that, you know, he had done, and I thought that was really shady.
Yeah, and it's like she said he would do that. To be fair, there's been a lot of shade around Jeffree Star for years. Now, I still like him. Do I agree with everything he says? No. I just went ahead and primed my lids using the Urban Decay Primer Potion. This is really the only primer I use, and I just kind of kept with it and it does what I need it to do. Just use kind of a really fluffy flat brush, and this is good to just get an all over lid because I can do it really quick and just kind of cover it all at once. And I'm going to take a kind of lighter skin tone color. This is Strange from the Naked 3 palette, and just put that all over my lid from brow bone to down my lid.
And I'm just finishing up my brows. I'm going to go ahead and trace them out with concealer now. I'm just kind of combing through the fronts to sort of give them ombre sort of a feel. Just going to go in with my same concealer that I used for underneath my eyes and to highlight, and just clean them up and make them super, super sharp. Since I already have my eyeshadow on, I'm going to try and be extra careful to not blend it down too much.
So I'm thinking, I kind of want to do like a blown out cut crease look. I'm going to just define my crease and kind of get the shape I want. I'm going to be using Nooner from the Naked 3 palette.
I like to apply my concealer and then take the brush and just kind of like fan it up. It just makes it easier to blend later. And for the underneath the brow, just kind of blend it down slightly. I think there's kind of like a fine line in between, you know, like you want it to be blended, but you still want it to be noticeable.
Also going to go back with Strange again, just to kind of help blend the two together. That way there are no hard lines.
Like you were saying earlier, I think it's really important to take your time on your brows and add little details and blend and reapply.
So I'm taking a darker brown eyeshadow and I'm just going to further carve out the crease. I like to go from lighter to darker so where I get a good blend.
And I'm going to take like a sort of in-between color, like not a highlight color, not a crease color, and just kind of blur the line where my crease color meets my brow highlight.
So now that I've got the brown in there, I'm going to go ahead and just add a black.
I'm going to take a little bit of glitter. I don't know if I want to use copper or teal. I think I'm going to go for teal since like the top of my eye is so neutral. We're going to put the teal glitter on the bottom and kind of smoke it out maybe with some black liner or like a dark blue eyeshadow. A lot of people always ask me how I get my glitters to stick. I usually just use a liquid liner. Just kind of going to place it right on my inner corner. Just sort of bring it down into my lash line.
So now that I have the crease pretty much done, I'm going to take that same lighter concealer that we used under the brow earlier, and I'm actually going to take a little bit of the primer potion and I'm going to re-carve out my crease to make sure that line is super soft.
And I'm looking a little crazy right now, but it's all going to make sense in just a minute. And then I'm just going to take some of your glitter on a little brush, dab it right on top. Oh my god, I feel like a mermaid. So now that I've got all this glitter on, I think I kind of want to go ahead and darken up my eyes a little bit. I'm just going to start off with like a dark brown. I'm going to place it right where that blue meets the brown. We're going to end up adding a little bit of black glitter on.
I think what I'm wanting to do is kind of like a green lid color. I'm going to use these two shades from the Kat Von D Lidwig palette. So that's this one right here.
Just going to take a little bit of black, kind of place it right on that outer corner. Also using this black to kind of like cut my crease and define it even more. It's this most super pigmented black ever. It's Blackout by Urban Decay. You just need like a tiny little bit.
I'm basically putting that darker green in the outer part of my eye and I'm blending it into the crease that I had done earlier. And I'm going to go from there and slowly blend in the lighter green and the champagne. I'm almost done with the eyes. Just going to darken up that crease again because putting on these greens kind of made it wash out a little bit. And then also blend just a little bit of the black into that dark green on the outer part to make it a little more cohesive.
I'm just going to go in and do some liner. I'm not going to do it super crazy or anything because I am wearing lashes on top. I think the trick to smudging is you kind of don't want, you don't want it to set, so you want to go in like as soon as you apply it.
I'm going to stop from the eyes right now and I'm going to go ahead and start putting on my foundation. I actually don't use a liquid foundation. I just use concealers and then put a high coverage powder on top of it. What I'm going to do first is get the base down and I'll just take this Maybelline Master Conceal, put it all over my face, blend it in, and then I go into contouring and highlighting with cream products.
I'm just darkening up my outer corner a little bit more, making sure it's nice and even. Now I'm going to move on to face. For primer, I'm going to use my Tarte Clean Slate Flawless 12-Hour Perfecting Primer. I don't know about less than 12 hours, but I mean it is pretty good. For foundation, I think I'm going to use my MAC Studio Sculpt in the shade NW30, and I'm going to mix a little bit of Amazonian Clay and light medium honey just to get like super full coverage. So be prepared to be here for like at least another 20 minutes. My hair been like that, motherfucker.
I also like doing my concealer like this instead of putting on a like super full coverage foundation. Makes it look a little more natural and not like I'm wearing a ton of makeup even though I'm clearly wearing a ton of makeup.
And I find that when you use like a smaller brush to sort of apply your foundation, you get better coverage because you can really sort of take your time.
And make sure you're putting it where you want it.
Just blending down my neck. Girls, please do not forget that.
Now I'm going to take my Glamouflage concealer in Ultra Light and I'm actually going to mix it with this e.l.f. product I have. It's a double-ended concealer and one end has a white shimmery highlight. I like to mix it with my concealer because I feel like it looks a little more dewy and pretty that way.
And I'm just going to take my beauty blender and buff all this foundation out. My best advice I can give you on blending foundation is you literally want to beat your face, want to feel it. Make sure that you have pressure so that way it blends and you're not in there for 30 minutes trying to blend in your foundation because ain't nobody got time for that. Girl, I have so much going on right now. Please look. Now that's done, I'm just gonna go in and do, say, a little bit of highlighting, but in all reality it'll probably be a lot. I really recommend it. It's the Anastasia little concealer in a jar. It's not like their contour palette or anything. They're very thick, so you almost have to use like water or something, or setting spray to kind of like dilute them. But if you have dry skin, it's a really good tip.
I'm gonna go ahead and blend this concealer with my Real Techniques pointed brush. I'm also gonna conceal underneath my contour, and I usually just leave a little bit left on my hand. So whenever I do my contour, I can go back and make sure that's all concealed and sharp.
So I'm just gonna take my beauty blender again and buff that out.
I also like taking the brush I use to apply my foundation to go around the outer parts of my highlight. That just kind of helps it blur it out a little bit more.
Now that's done, I'm just gonna go ahead and set that with a little translucent powder just so it doesn't go anywhere. I find that it's best to sort of set it right away instead of waiting. That way it's less likely to crease.
I'm gonna go ahead and start on my contour. I usually either go straight on with powder, but today I'm feeling like a cream because I want a little more intensity. Instead of taking the stick onto my face, I usually like to apply it to my hand and then go on with a brush to make sure it's a sharp line instead of it being kind of like a rounded shape. What I'm gonna do is just take a flat foundation brush and spray it with some setting spray, pick it up off my hand, and then apply it to my face.
I'm gonna use my contour palette and pretty much do the same. Another thing I would say is you need to be careful contouring using creams on top of powders because it can look really cakey. So I'm just making sure to kind of like avoid the areas where I powder. I kind of have a little receding hairline, so I'm just gonna pop a little contour right here. My drag queen friends taught me that.
Making sure the top of my contour is very blended into the highlighter.
I'm just gonna take my same beauty blender I've been using and just diffuse that line and blend it upwards instead of downwards.
I'm gonna go back with that highlighter and then just re-highlight certain areas of my nose and then chisel out the bottom of the contour.
Be careful with the powder.
I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of blush, not too much, or just kind of like a little hint of color. Using a large stipple brush to diffuse it a little bit.
And I think I'm gonna use my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Stereo Rose.
Before I go back to the eyes and finish off the bottom and do the liner, I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the face. I'm gonna actually be using a eyeshadow. I find this works because I've more often had really shimmery eyeshadows than highlighters. I'm going to be using this one in the Sephora Quad Burgundy Smoky.
It's just adding more powder because all these lights is getting a little hot. And for highlighter, I'm going to use Becca Ring Skin Perfector and Opal, which I would show you, but it's like completely cracked. Cheeks clearly look wet.
Yep.
And you could stop there, but you know, that's no fun. So I'm just going to keep going.
So now that I'm highlighted, I can finish the eye looks. I'm going to take a little bit of some silver glitter. This is the NYX Liquid Crystal Liner. I'm going to put that in the inner part of the center of my lid. Just kind of fade it upwards.
I'm just going to use my Anastasia powder contour kit and just kind of go right on top of where I contoured earlier just to intensify that, and you just kind of want to keep it right on that outer part and then just blend it in like that.
Now while that eyeliner is still a bit tacky, I'm going to be taking some of my chunky glitter.
For lashes, I'm going to be using Ardell Double Up and I think 203s.
I think this isn't enough glitter for me. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put just a little line right underneath my brow bone.
While my lashes are drying, I like to go in with my mascara. I'm just going to use Urban Decay version. Quickly kind of coat my top lashes only.
Just down.
As long as you didn't remove the makeup, that's what's important.
I'm going to go ahead and smoke out the bottom just a little bit. I'm using a Urban Decay blender brush. I feel like this one works really well with blending out the lower lash line. For lip, since I have so much going on the eyes and they're very dark, I'm just going to do a nude lip. This is Bow and Arrow from Kat Von D, one of my favorites.
I'm just going to start off with this NYX Liquid Suede and I believe Sandstorm. I'm going to go on top of that with a different color and just sort of lighten it up. I have my base color on and I'm just going to go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Liquid Lipstick and Milkshake and just pop that in the middle.
And I think what I'm going to do is just put in a little bit of gloss on the center because I kind of want a little bit of shimmer in my lip.
I'm going to go in and darken up our lip one more time.
I'm going to apply some very simple lashes. I don't want to take away from the eye makeup.
I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more highlight because, I mean, why not? I'm using Bubbly from my Anastasia Glow Kit. Alright, I think I'm done. Just bathe in it.
Alright, I think I'm done. Alright, so that is the completed look. How do you feel about yours?
I love mine.
Oh, I love the glitter underneath. I think that's really a nice pop.
I think your lip came out amazing. I
Thank
love
you.
that ombre. I think I've seen that on Kat Bobby's Instagram page. I love how you did the glitter underneath too.
Yeah, I think it makes it really pop.
And your brows are always slinky, of course. Alright guys, we hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Go ahead. Intro.
Oh fuck. I wasn't still. Just like wave.
Just
Kind of like.
Alright.
Alright, let's do some glitter.
Can I have a second to think about that? Like and subscribe. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything, so I thought we were doing it.
Looking good and feeling gorgeous.
Oh, fine.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening. And look forward to more content from us. Thanks.